Hello everybody, and welcome to this, and this is going to be a follow-up video. Nightmare Baller isn't with me, but this is a follow-up video to a video that he did with me. If you did not see it, it was me and him running down all 52 titles of the DC Comics relaunch that they're going to do. And basically we ran down all 52 titles, talked about what we thought of each title, did we recommend it, were we going to buy it, what we thought of it, just that sort of thing. A lot of people are doing the same thing. And then afterwards, just talking to people and seeing kind of other people commentating on this and just hearing people's stories. One of the stories that I kept hearing, which I found kind of interesting, was apparently, and not that this is a big, like this happening all over the place, but it's definitely happening somewhat, was people were basically so upset that were big, giant fans of DC that they basically were just walking in and just canceling all of their subscriptions and all of their pull boxes, basically all their comics that they pulled, and just giving up altogether. And other people just, basically just very upset, not knowing what they're going to do. You've got a group of people, I guess, at San Diego Comic-Con that are actually going to go out and protest, do a walking protest about this, protesting this. And that's all fine and dandy. But I'm going to do something a little different. But instead of just coming on here and blasting DC and doing that, which I've already done, I thought I would also come on here and run down basically 52 alternate titles that are not DC, that are not Marvel. And when I say DC and not Marvel, I mean DC. I mean, I'm including Vertigo, Wildstorm, everything within DC, everything within Marvel, and everything. Basically, the biggest publishers would be Image and Dark Horse, and then everything kind of below them. Titles that you could easily get in place of the titles that DC is offering. Now, let me explain this. These are not recommendations. There's a bunch of these books I've never read. There's a bunch of these books that I don't read, even though I'm familiar with them. So don't take this as me recommending a bunch of books. These are just 52 books that I found that I thought were somewhat along the same type of stories, or had something that I thought was similar enough that I thought that you could easily switch them out, so to speak. There's 52 of these books. Some of them are miniseries. Some of them actually are ending in September. There's one that might actually be ending before September. I can't quite figure that out yet, but I thought I would include it in here anyways. And and there's a good number of books on here that I think most people have heard of. Probably some books that have not heard of. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of publishers that maybe you've never heard of, and I am going to include links to every publisher that is featured on this list of 52. So just so if you hear this list and you only think some of them are good, that's fine. You can go check out the other books. The other reason why I was doing this, by the way, is I hadn't seen anybody else do this. I hadn't seen anyone else actually go out and try to find 52 other books, and this was hard. This was a lot harder than you think it would be. Finding 52 kind of superhero-esque type books, or books that were along the same type of thing that DC was trying to do. Not just trying to find 52 comics. Trying to find 52 comic books would have been easy, but trying to find 52 kind of more superhero-esque type comics, or comics that were easily replaceable to the others, was what I was trying to do. So, and I haven't seen anybody else do this. Maybe other people have, and I just haven't seen it, but I haven't seen anybody else do this. And I know of at least one site that thought about doing it, and then didn't, because it was just too much hassle. But this did take me a while. I won't lie with that. And I would love to see, a actual, comic book website, or a comic book podcast that probably would have much more readers or listeners than I would ever plan on getting, actually doing this. So if you like this, if you think this is something that, at least the concept is something other people should at least try, I don't usually say this, but pass this along and let people see it, and let people at least get the idea of what I'm trying to do here, is that there is other stuff outside of Marvel and DC to read. Some of it's very good, Now, everything, like as I said, everything I picked is pretty more superhero related, so you don't have a lot of stuff that's not. There's a lot of stuff I would have put on here that ended this month or ended this month, or I know is ending in August, so I didn't put that on here. There's a lot of miniseries. There is one thing I will say is that, unlike DC's 52, which basically you're starting with a bunch of ones and a bunch of new stories. Can't say that for a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is ongoings or miniseries that are going right now. There's some things that will be starting in September, but the vast majority of them is not. So that is one knock against this list, is that this is not necessarily a new reader-friendly list per se, but it is 52 other books, and I would imagine if you can just find 5 books, maybe even 10, I could easily see someone finding 10 books on this list that would strike your interest. I mean, how many people actually of the, DC's 52, how many books do people really think about getting? Maybe 10, 5 to 10, I would say most people. So that was kind of the idea behind this. So let me just run down this list, explain how I did this. I took the DC book, and then I tried to find a book that I thought was similar or that I would replace with it on the books that were not Marvel or DC. So there you go. So Justice League, of course, the big DC book that was the first book they announced, and oddly enough, not that I could find, anyways, it's team superhero books. When you're talking about non-Marvel stuff, is kind of hard to find. And so I was only able to find one. I think this actually ends before September. I could be wrong though, but this would be the only one that I'm kind of iffy on. But Guarding the Globe, which started off as a parody to the Avengers relaunch, and is set in the Invincible universe of Image, where they're basically just a bunch of heroes. I don't read this book, so we're starting off with a book that I don't read. But they're basically supposed to be, a JLA type group. It's set in the Invincible world. It's an offshoot of Invincible, if you know that book, which is also on this list farther down. But there we go. There. We have Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was pretty easy for me, and that was Witchblade. Some people probably be like, huh? But if you've read any of the newer Witchblade stuff, it's definitely has a lot more meat to it as far as stories. It's definitely not just a quote unquote cheesecake book anymore. There's definitely some really good story. Ron Mars has done really well. His run on the book is starting to end, but Top Cow is really taking it upon themselves to make sure that Witchblade will actually have good stories behind it now, and not just be known as pretty art with pretty women and poses that no woman could actually do, and women that look a little bit more somewhat real, I guess. So there you go. And to me, this if you've read it, it's very much a women's story. It's very good stuff. So there you go. The next we have Aquaman, and that was pretty easy for me too. Unfortunately, Marine Man is ending before the relaunch, so I couldn't pick that, or I would have easily picked that. But instead, so I picked Fathom, which I'm sure some people have at least seen. Basically, it's woman who is a half-breed. Sounds pretty easy. It's pretty similar, huh? She's got water powers. She's trying to save the Earth. She's trying to save the oceans. The story is somewhat complicated. They're getting ready to start. I believe it starts either this month or next month. A new series of this from Aspen. So definitely, if you like Aquaman type stories, that's something to check out. Then we have The Flash, and this was kind of hard for me to find, so I just kind of jokingly picked Flash Gordon from, I think it's Arden Comics. I didn't even know this comic existed. But they're basically brand new Flash Gordon stories, and if you're aware of Flash Gordon, then you kind of understand, your basic sci-fi trying to beat up evil type story. So there you go. Then we have the Fury of Firestorm, which again was another hard one for me to find. So I picked Phoenix, which is done by the same company, but through this is basically them picking up the rights to an Atlas Comics book, and basically it's a guy with an alien suit, your basic type of thing, and him being a superhero. So there you go. Savage Hawkman, again, a little wink wink. Savage Dragon, which I'm sure most of you are aware of by, now I can't even think of his name. But yeah, most of you are probably aware of Savage Dragon. It's been around for a long time, well up into the 100, well up over 100 issues now. So yeah, there you go. Green Arrow, I picked Incorruptible, which, if you're not aware of what Incorruptible is, it's basically a villain set in a world where their Superman-esque character went crazy, and because of that, he decided he would be a good guy, and it's him trying to be a good guy, which is a pretty interesting story. Then we have Justice League International. For that, I picked Justice Machine, which I've never heard of in my life. Apparently, this was an 80s indie comic. It is actually a superhero team. The idea is that they've disappeared for the last 30 years and that they're returning, and they don't necessarily like the way the world is, but they're going to save it anyways, from what I understand. We have Mr. Terrific with that, Kevin Smith's Bionic Man, which is basically Kevin Smith redoing the $1 million Man, Bionic Man. Should be very interesting, I think. I really liked his run on Green Hornet, so I think that could be good. Then we have Captain Atom. With that, we have another Aspen book, Broken Pieces. I didn't quite understand what this is about, other than it's about a guy and he's trying to save the world, and the world has kind of fallen to pieces, is the way I got it. So there you go. DC Universe Presents. This was pretty easy. Dark Horse Presents. If you're aware of anthology books, if you like anthology books, if you're aware of Dark Horse, you're probably aware of Dark Horse Presents. There's usually about 3 or 4 stories in there. They usually introduce a lot of characters and a lot of new comics in Dark Horse Presents, so there you go. Then we get to the Green Lantern books, and with that, I stuck mainly with the Star Wars stuff. Star Wars Night Aaron Deluge. I did pick the new Star Trek book that is coming out as well. Star Wars Invasion Revelations, Star Wars Jedi Dark Side as well. We went to the Batman books. Green Hornet was a pretty easy pick for Batman, in my opinion. If you're aware, Phil Hester is the one doing the book now after Kevin Smith left. I really liked Kevin Smith's run. If you've ever read his run, it's kind of sad to see the movie we got and what we could have gotten. But there you go. Detective Comics, Haunted City, which is another Aspen book. I think it's an Aspen book. Yeah, it's coming out. Basically, it's about a detective who finds out that there is a secret police force that basically takes care of, the supernatural of the city. So there we go. Batman and Robin, Angel and Faith from the Buffy universe. So there you go. There. Batman the Dark Knight, Darkness. There you go. There. Birds of Prey, Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 9, which will be starting up soon. So there you go. There. Catwoman, Warlord of Mars, Dela Thoris, I think is how you say it. She's the heroine from Warlords of Mars from Dynamite Comics, if you were not aware of that book. So there you go there. Batgirl, Shiniku, I think is how you pronounce it. It's Ron Mars's new Vampire Slayer type book. So there you go. Batwoman, Magdalena from Top Cow, which is part of the whole Darkness, Witchblade type of book. She is a agent of the Catholic Church, or was an agent of the Catholic Church. She's now gone solo. We have Nightwing, which I picked Kevin Smith's Kato. Red Hood and the Outlaws, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is getting redone by IDW Comics. So there you go there. Batwing, The Last Phantom from, is it Boom? No, Dynamite. Dynamite does Last Phantom. So there we go. Swamp Thing, Spawn. Most people are aware of what Spawn is, so there we go there. Then we have Animal Man, Elephant Man, which, if you're not aware of what Elephant Man is, it is a book by Image Comics. Basically, you have a set about 200 years in the future where a corporation has crossbred humans with animals, and you have like elephant men, rhino men, hippo men, crocodile men, giraffe men, boar men, a bunch of other like crossbred breeze like that. It's more of your futuristic type story. Really good book. I highly recommend that one, actually. Uh, Justice League Dark, Hellraiser, Clive Barker's Hellraiser, which just restarted. Demon Knights, Lady Death. I'm sure most of you are aware of Lady Death. Frankenstein, Agent of Shade, which is, I picked Hack and Slash for that, which is basically girl running around beating up your horror movie type, slasher type villains out there. Then you have Resurrection Man, a Haunt. Yes, I have 2 Mark McFarlane books on here. Haunt. I don't read Haunt, so I can't really talk about what Haunt is, but apparently it's pretty good from what I understand. So there you go. I Vampire, Vampirella, which has been around. Vampirella's been around forever. There's a Dynamite currently has a monthly book out for her. I think there's 2 monthly books out right now for her. She's been around forever, very iconic figure. You're basically alien vampire, not your basic vampire, but alien vampire. There you go. For Voodoo, I picked Lady Machina, or Machinica, I guess is what it is. Also from Aspen Comics. There's a lot of Aspen Comics stuff on here, but I actually really like Lady Machinica, whatever it is. I actually really like that book. I believe issue 2 should be out soon. So there we go. There. Legion Lost. John Byrne's Next Men. If you're not sure what this book's been around since the 90s. I believe we're on volume 3, either volume 2 or volume 3 right now, of this. And basically, it's a group of people with powers being followed by the government. It's a very complex story. But John Byrne was, of course, one of the big architects for X-Men, and this was his big thing. This was his big book after he left the X-Men, so it was called The Next Men. So there you go. Legion of Superheroes, Stan Lee's The Traveler, which is a Stan Lee creation, which is done by Boom Studios, and it's about a time-traveling superhero. Teen Titans, Gladstone. For that, I picked Gladstone School of World Conquerors. Basically, it's a school for kids who will be supervillains, which is a pretty funny little book. Static Shock, since that's supposed to be, I guess, more of a kiddie book. I picked Atomic Robo, Ghost of Station X, which is going to be the new Atomic Robo, or the newest Atomic Robo series that is coming out. If you haven't read any Atomic Robo stuff, it's really good. Very basic, pretty kid-friendly too, so there you go. Then Hawk and Dove, which on the video I talked about that Hawk and Dove was going to be Rob Liefeld's new beginning of, or new intro, return, I guess, to comics. And so for this, I picked his newest comic, which is Infinite, which is going to be done by Kirkman, written by Kirkman, so that should be pretty good. The Stormwatch. That was pretty easy for me. The Boys, if you're not sure what The Boys is a group of guys who run around and police superheroes. They're human, or they're non-superheroes for the most part, and well, not really. I should take that back. They're not. They definitely all have some sort of powers. I take that back. But yeah, it's written by I can't think of his name. The guy that did Preacher. And yeah, if it's not your thing, if kind of really dark humor and a lot of toilet humor and being offended is not your thing, then The Boys is probably not your thing either, I would easily say. Then there's the Blackhawks, which for that I picked 50 Girls, which is a space kind of adventure where 50 girls are sent up into space, and they are they're running around trying to get back to Earth. So there you go. Sergeant Rock and the Men of War, that was pretty easy for me. G.I. Joe, I'm sure all of you know what G.I. Joe is. I have All-Star Western. For that I picked The Sixth Gun. I just got done reading the first issue of this, actually, which I downloaded for free from Comixology, and which they have this first issue for free, and it's pretty good. It's kind of a supernatural type Western, and it's pretty good. Then we have Deathstroke. Then I picked another Boys book, The Boys Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker. This is basically the origin of the Boys leader, Butcher. So there you go. For Grifter, I picked Butcher Baker the Righteous Maker, which is not the same as Butcher Baker Candlestick Maker. Butcher Baker the Righteous Maker is a completely different book. It's basically an old superhero who comes out of retirement and has definitely... He used to be, you know, this basic, your Captain America type, and now he's much more of your comedian type from The Watchmen. So it's a pretty interesting book. Then we have OMAC. For that, since that's a Kirby creation, I picked Kirby Genesis, which I highly recommend for anybody. Then we have Suicide Squad. For that, I picked Morning Glories, which is probably kind of a weird choice, but I thought that kind of fit myself. Just got done reading. I'm completely caught up on Morning Glories now, and that's one of my favorite books. No idea what's going on, but I absolutely love that book. With Blue Beetle, for that, I picked another one of Stan Lee's Boom titles, Stan Lee Soldier Zero. Pretty good stuff there. Action Comics, Stan Lee Starborn. So there's that. Superman, the Man of Tomorrow. I picked Irredeemable, which is basically Superman gone bad. For Supergirl, I picked Fallen Angel, which is kind of a wink wink. That's done by IDW. Originally was done by DC Comics. As a Peter David book. I just became aware of this book because comic book guy, I was just asking what was Peter David, you know, I haven't seen any Peter David books, and he stuck the first volume of this in my hand, which I'm currently reading, and I've seen the newest issues, and the guy that does the art for the newest stuff is really good. I really like his art, so there we go. And then for Superboy, Invincible, kind of an Invincible sandwich on this list, which if you've never read Invincible, Invincible is about a, you know, I guess a late age teenager now who has superpowers. His dad was a superhero, and kind of his misadventures. So there you go. So 52 books. 52 books for everybody to check out. Not that I would necessarily, you know, recommend all of these books. Like I said, I don't know a lot about all of these books, but I just wanted to throw 52 books out there that I thought were, you know, after doing some hunting, kind of thought everybody might enjoy and might get a kick out of seeing. And again, I mean, the whole point of this is don't necessarily take what Marvel and DC gives you. There are other books out there. There are other companies out there. If there are good superhero stories out there, I firmly believe that your basic classic superhero stories are not being told in Marvel and DC, and are being told by Image and Top Cow and other places, other than and Boom and all of, you know, I definitely think that they're being told in other places and not necessarily there. So definitely, you know, just it might take a little bit, but if you just do some looking, you definitely there you go. So that's just kind of, that was kind of the point of this. Hopefully, like I said, other people will see this, maybe other people do the same thing, and I can hope. But with that, that's it. I'm out. Later.